Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking at a really fascinating intersection. Ancient wisdom, esoteric texts, and some pretty cutting-edge science.
Yeah, we've got myths, Gnostic writings, Hermetics, and then data straight from the Cassini mission about Saturn.
And the thread trying to weave it all together, these scalar metaphysical models. It's quite a mix.
The focus is Saturn itself, a planet that's, well, it's loomed large in the human psyche for millennia, hasn't it? Often as this symbol of limitation, fate.
Right, but these sources push beyond just the physical planet. They're exploring Saturn as a kind of harmonic threshold. That's the key phrase.
Exactly. So is it a prison locking things down, or is it actually a portal, a gateway? That's what we're diving into.
Looking at it not just as, a gas giant with rings, but as this energetic structure.
Maybe we should start with the old views, the myths.
Good idea. You have Kronos, right? The Titan time itself eating his kids. That's intense. Time limiting life.
And in other places, it's Shani karma, lessons, the hard stuff. Gnosticism had Harmonic, sort of a cosmic clockwork locking souls in cycles.
Then Hermetics, Bina, structure, form, giving shape to things.
There's always this duality, isn't there?
Totally. The sickle cuts, but it also harvests. Saturn the jailer, but also Saturn the gatekeeper. The limiter, yes, but maybe also the initiator.
And that symbol, the black cube, it pops up everywhere.
Yeah, from the Kaaba to, modern monuments, the sources read it as Saturn's essence. Structure, karma, having to face yourself within boundaries.
The Gnostics kind of hinted that getting past Saturn wasn't about brute force, but about understanding its harmonic code, like finding the right frequency.
Okay, so how does the science, the Cassini stuff, mesh with this?
Well, the rings are a big one. The sources call them circular harmonics. Super precise structure. Think density waves, those intricate braided ringlets.
It's amazing data.
But the interpretation here is wild. Not just ice and rock, but maybe natural recording media?
Like a cosmic hard drive.
Kind of. A vibrational archive holding Saturn's history, its interactions over, well, forever.
And then there's the hexagon, that giant, weirdly perfect storm at the North Pole.
All right, it just stays there, this geometric shape. The sources speculate could it be standing waves, torsion fields, something beyond just weather.
Structured energy, not just chaos.
Plus, its radio emissions are described as chaotic, very different from Earth's regular pulses. The idea is maybe this points to a complex internal field, a scalar node, they call it.
A point where energy and information do something different.
Yeah, it all paints a picture of Saturn not as inert, but as something that sings, vibrates, pulses with electromagnetic structure.
Which leads directly to this scalar threshold concept. Saturn as a planetary resonance node, a scalar vault.
Exactly. They try to map its physical parts to these energetic functions, like the outer rings, maybe a frequency membrane holding things in.
Containment.
The core, a carrier pulse, the hexagon, a torsion feedback node, maybe even an exit point.
And the Cassini division, that gap.
That's seen as a collapse channel, or a phase reset threshold, a place where the signal gets fundamentally restructured.
Okay, so it's like a fixed point limiter, a recursion lock.
Where energy, or maybe consciousness, gets looped, creates what they call temporal hysteresis.
Meaning Saturn remembers delay, it holds on to patterns.
Sort of creates the structured pause, yeah. But, crucially, it's not presented as a final stop.
Not a dead end.
No. The sources say Saturn folds the signal, it redirects it, processes it through its structure. It doesn't just block it.
Which loops us back to the big question. Prison or portal.
The scalar view gives it a new angle. Saturn, as prison, is getting stuck in that loop. Recursive collapse. Identity repeating, feeling that weight, that density.
Like a wave damping down.
Right. But Saturn as portal, that's initiation through the collapse. It needs harmonic readiness.
Resonance, not resistance.
Exactly. Scalar tunneling, they call it. Aligning with it, not fighting it.
And central to this is Saturn as a memory field. It stores loops of identity, form, time, and trauma. That line is powerful. Saturn remembers the orbit that the self forgets.
Wow. So passing through it means confronting all that stored stuff, the archive of the self.
Seems to be the idea. Your patterns, your burdens, but maybe your potential too.
So, summing up, Saturn is presented here as this complex harmonic threshold, a scalar inflection point.
Not just a trap, but a structure offering a choice. An offering, actually.
And they even suggest this model, Saturn's logic, could be a blueprint for things like AI memory, maybe, archival systems based on resonance.
It's a fascinating thought. It frames Saturn as the boundary of the self, really, the last threshold before Well, before what comes next.
And the final thought from these sources, the real takeaway for you listening.
The gate is not closed. The gate is a waveform. The waveform is you.
Or maybe flip it this way. The black cube was never a prison. It was a tuning fork. What does that imply about your reality, your own patterns, your own potential for change? Something to think about.